Schedule 62. I'm gonna show you how I make cowbells. Well, I used to make them. I don't make them anymore. Okay? This is a 101 of how to make cowbells. Okay, the first thing you do, you find your metal, sheet metal, 16 gauge, okay, 16 gauge, hot roll, HRS, hot roll steel. That's it. Don't use nothing else. Well, you can, but don't use cold rolled, okay, cold rolled steel. Unless you're using stainless, okay. Anyway, you find your piece, you cut a strip. You got a strip of metal, all right? Anywhere from, usually, oh my gosh, you can go from 4 inches to 7 or 8 inches, depending on how big you want your bell, okay? 4 to 7. Next thing you do is you measure 5 degrees, and you cut the corner off 5 degrees, okay? From here to the next corner, next 5 degrees is anywhere from 2, kind of tight, to 6, kind of big. Okay, that you get your first piece. And then cut that off, flip it over the opposite way, and cut your other piece. And that will make 2 the same size. It's important. Okay? The height, what did I say, anywhere from 4 to 8. I've gone 10. Well, it makes a big bell. It's kind of useless, but a novelty. 4 is really a high pitch. 3. You can make them 3, but it's a ding, ding, ding. One big thing. Anyway, okay, so then the next thing you do, now that you got your piece cut, okay, and you got a 1/4 inch marked on the little end and a 3/4 marked on the big end. And the reason you're doing that is so you get a flat here and a flat here and a flat here. You'll fold these up 90 degrees or all the same. You got to make them all the same, otherwise it's really going to be difficult to get the weld in there. Okay? You want a flat here and a flat there. Okay? And alright. And then when you put it in the press, them 2 lines is the ones you clamp on. They clamp from there to there, so you got that tapered piece for your side of your bell, okay? Okay, then the next thing, okay, let's put it in the brake. Okay, the brake has got a flat table and it's got fingers down, a blade across it, okay? But you back that blade up 3/4 of an inch. Okay? Back it up 3/4, so when you fold it, you got that gap. This is where the brake bends, okay? This one right here is where it pivots. It goes up. It goes straight up here, right? So you clamp that bell right on that line, 3/4 on one end, 1/4 on the other. It's underneath there. Now that thing is laying down like this. What you got to do before you bend it, you got to clamp this right here with some kind of clamp so that it can't move. Then when you swing this sucker up into this position, pivot this up, the bell is going to have a curve, a nice round curve there. Thing is, you got to do them all alike. You bend one, up, your clamp will be up here now. You bring it up, take the clamp off, bring it back down, take it out, put it in, clamp the other side down, put the clamp on, raise it up, take the clamp off, bring it back down. If you don't take the clamp off, you'll straighten it out. And you'll screw the bell up and you'll never get it looking good. You got to do them all alike. Okay, so now you got the bell bent up like this. Okay, this is where I'm going to change drawings, okay? Once you get that them pieces bent, okay? Once you get them pieces bent, they're gonna look like this. One end's gonna be big curve with a straight. The other end is gonna be a little straight with the same, almost the same curve. It's gonna look like this. Okay, we're looking at the end of it. Okay, my camera's giving me a really bad time. Okay, once you form them up, here's what that piece is going to look like. When you lay it down flat, okay, the little end is going to look like this, and the big end is going to look like this, okay? If you put them two pieces together, your bell is going to look like this. Well, you set it up in a bandsaw, lay this on the bandsaw, and you push it through, and you cut little slivers off of each side. Little triangles. There's 4 of them, one on each side of the bell. Cut them off. Otherwise, if you weld it, you got to grind all that off, because it'll make your bell that way. And in the back, the little end looks like this. So when you weld it, if you weld a plate on there, you got that big hole to fill up. So what I do is I set it on the disc sander flat, and I push on it, and I grind a bunch of this off until it's down to where the hole isn't real big. You know, there's a hole to fill up before I put the end on. So yeah, so the end of the bell will look like this. It'll be round, and it'll get a dip in it, and it'll be round and go back like this, okay? And the holes will be very big if you grind some of that off. Put it on and lay the open end down and push it on the sander and knock them off. Otherwise, they'll be pointy, you know. Anyway, okay, when you weld them, you put the two together. And you clamp two together. What it'll probably look like when you weld, when you start, it'll probably look, one piece will look like this, and the other piece will look like, where the weld is, like this, and they won't line up. They won't line up on the other side. So what you do is you tack them. You know, you tack here and you tack in the back, you know, where it's small. You tack it in the back. Tack it good so it stays. Then you flip it over, and then you fight with the other side till you get the other side straightened out the same way, and you clamp the two together. I put a clamp over it this way, and I put a clamp over it this way to pull it together, because most of the time it opens up and it don't want to close, because if this ain't perfectly formed at a 90 degrees, if they're not identical, they won't line up. One will be down here, one will be up here, and they'll be apart, or they'll be they won't match up. So I match one of them up, and then I clamp it down, and I tack it real good, and I weld it up, and I weld it completely. After I get it close, I weld it up. Then I pull it. Then I flip it over, and then clamp the other side, and then I bend them and move them until I get them lined up, and I got a clamp over the outside, one of them big light script clamps with the clamp, and I go over the big end so it won't slide off. I go over the big end, clamp it, and then I pull it together, and I tack it and clamp it. Clamp a regular vice grip on this end, and then a wide one if I can on this end, and then get some spots on there and get them where it won't move no more. Take them off and finish welding it, and now you got your body all welded together. Okay. Okay. The next thing what I do is I weld a piece over the bottom. Okay, like this. Okay, I measure. This is like about 1.5 inches, I think, usually. And this is like, that's probably 2 inches or something. I cut a piece of metal the size of that square. And I put it on there. Then I weld this side and I weld this side. Then I take it on a grinder and I grind it round, all the way around, till I get it all matched up. And then I finish weld it the rest of the way around. And then you make the custom bottom, because the bottoms are, everyone seems to be different for some reason. Okay, so we got a flat, we got a 1/4 inch flat on each side here, a 3/4 inch flat down here. You don't want the side to get too big, because you'll get sound out of it, and it'll sound bad. All you want your sound is to come out of these two sides here. Okay. This is a handbell. I call it a handbell for you hold it. You don't have to put it on a drum set. And also what I do is I don't grind my weld here. I leave a little bit heavy of a weld on there, so it gives you something to hold on to, and it's not so slippery to fall out of your hand if people are carrying it and playing it, you know. I took a little bit of weld inside there. Just a little bit sometimes, okay? I hope this is bright enough. If you make the same height of metal, but cut the angle wider, when you make them wider this way, one bell, they'll be wider this way than this way. So, and they're the same height. So, if you listen, they're totally different sounds. You know, the way I get these tuned is I make the bell up and I grind the front edge until I get it to the closest note. And when it gets to it's an A sharp. It's an A sharp. When it gets to the A sharp, then I stop grinding the front of it off and I take the burr off. Same way with this E over here. This one's the E. White on the inside. I use any color that I got left over from painting anything. That is an E. And it's the same height. Exactly the same height. It probably was cut out of the same piece of metal, maybe. I don't know. But okay, if you want to put this on there for a drum set, same metal, 16 gauge. I cut a piece 4.5 inches long and 2 inches wide. Then I farmed them over. If they're not straight across, then you can grind them to make them the same, so they stand up straight. Okay? Because they can't end up crooked one way or the other if they don't farm good. Okay, then I drill a hole through it, a 32nd over 3/8. Okay, through. You can't drill them holes before you bend it, any of them, because if you do, they won't line up. Okay, and that one here will interfere with the bending of it. So then I just punch a hole in the top, punch that hole in there. That's about a 3/8. I put a 5/16 screw on a little round ring that I make up. You know, it's got 3/8 hole in it, 32nd over 3/8 hole in it, a washer. And then I weld a bolt to it. Stick it up through there, put a nut on it, or a wing nut, and you got it. I don't have one in this. I ran out of them. That's probably pretty most of it. I'm glad my camera didn't quit. I just got my camera back. It's a Canon S110, and the thing, every time I was running it, it would shut off about 30 seconds and it wouldn't go. I just spent $160 fixing this Canon. And I'm not real happy with it. So yeah, about $160 worth. The lens crapped out and it quit working. And I sent it in. It took me 2 or 3 weeks to get it done. I thought I wasn't going to get it back. And then this morning, every time I turn this thing on, it would. My cat keeps hitting on the tripod. I'm holding it up. Every time I turn it on, it'd run for 30 seconds and quits, like the bell one is, you know. Hey, here's some bells here. Look, this is an E. Ooh, that'll chase the cat away. Weld is down the side. See that? That's for the drum set. I got to put that loop in there with the screw sticking out, a nut on it. This is E. A nice bell. And all the colors that I use are leftover colors, okay? This is a D. Isn't that nice? What do they use that red on? Pretty nice, huh? See that? Yeah, and so here's where you can see. You can see where I farmed it over. There's 3/4 of flat here, and there's a 1/4 flat here. When you grab it in the brake, you pinch it way up here, and you put that 1/4 inch in there, and that 3/4 in there, and then when you clamp it and fold it up, it causes that to be a radius. See, if you don't clamp it, it'll slide and it'll bend right on where it'll bend right there a sharp. It'll curve in and it'll make a really bad looking job. Here's the other thing is, if the width of the bell on the side here is too big, you'll get sound out of it. If this is too wide, it'll ring and you'll get a different sound from here to here as you do from here to here. It'll make an extra sound, and when you hit it, it'll make a horrible ringing sound. It sounds really bad. So what you don't want is your sound coming out of here. Okay? So that's probably all I got for Cowbell. They're all the same. I came up with all these angles after making about probably 10 of them. I made some of them real wide angle, and they didn't sound good. And I made them narrower, and they sound really bad. A straight bell sounds horrible. It don't have that dead sound. It'll ring for a long time, like you would a piece of pipe or something. So anyway, it'd be Petro 062 reporting for how to build a cowbell. If you got any questions, ask. Go with the message thing and comment thing and see what I can do. Okay. This is a D. B Petro 062 reporting for. We need more cowbells.
Channel 62. Channel 62. Bump, do da, bump, do da.